In the words of No Life Shack, well, child. Last night around 9 o'clock, okay, news came out that Sean Diddy Puff Daddy P. Diddy Love Combs was indeed indicted by a grand jury and arrested as well, okay? This morning, they unsealed the indictment. They also had a press conference, which I'll talk about very briefly later on. But I just felt like, as a family, we should go through this together. So I have yet to read through this indictment. Obviously, I'm going to have screenshots of the indictment as I read through it. Obviously, we'll try to skip over some things. Probably jurisdiction and stuff we'll probably skip over. But this shit's 14 pages long. Hopefully, we ain't got to go through all 14. So what I'm going to say is get a snack or do like me and get some, okay? Shout out to Lil Wayne, okay? Because we're going to be here. We're going to be here. So let's go through the indictment. Shall we? Okay? United States District Court, Southern District of New York. The United States of America versus Sean Combs, aka Puff Daddy, aka P. Diddy, aka Diddy, aka P. D, aka Love, aka the D, the I, the D, the D, the Y, the D, the I, the D is Diddy. Yeah, he did all that shit. I love the fact that they broke it down like that. Somebody on Twitter was like, yeah, because whatever your name is, we getting all of y'all, every single person. So you can't come out and say, it wasn't Sean that did that. Love did that. So you can't hold me. Let's get to it. Count 1, racketeering conspiracy. Now I have Google up here just to make sure we're all on the same page. So racketeering is a set of illegal activities aimed at commercial profit that may be disguised as legitimate business deals. What that pretty much means, long story short, is that he is allegedly using like his business, but he's pretty much he's using his business as a front. He's doing illegal ass shit, but he's just using his business to kind of cover it up. It's pretty much all that means, right? Okay. In the short of it. So let's get into it. The grand jury charges. Overview. Number 1. For decades, Sean Combs, a.k.a. Puff Daddy, a.k.a. P. Diddy, a.k.a. Diddy, a.k.a. P. D, a.k.a. whoever called him P. D, I don't know, a.k.a. Love. I've never called him Love. I know that was like his new little era or whatever, but never called him that, okay? The defendant abused, threatened, and coerced women and others around him to fulfill his sexual desires, protect his reputation, and conceal his conduct. To do so, Combs relied on employees, resources, and influence of the multifaceted business empire that he led and controlled, creating a criminal enterprise whose members and associates engaged in, and attempted to engage, among other crimes, trafficking, forced labor, napping, the K word, I can't say certain things on YouTube, sin, the Kid Cudi situation, bribery, and obstruction of justice. So let's go through a little bit of that, right? So creating a criminal enterprise whose members and associates engaged in, meaning that a whole lot of people helped him. And one thing that was said during the press conference, because somebody asked like where there'll be other people that's charged, and they said that the investigation is ongoing. If they find that you had anything to do with it, you're coming down. And I really like that, because I feel like, came to the whole R. Kelly thing, right? R. Kelly was dead ass wrong and deserves to be underneath the jail. But there were so many people around him that aided and abetted in his nonsense. And a lot of y'all had the nerve to come and sit on Surviving R. Kelly and pretty much snitch on yourselves, and nothing happened. And that was one of the biggest things that everybody was saying, is like, yes, R. Kelly should go down, but there's a lot he didn't do about himself. So it seems to me like they're keeping it open. Whoever the hell helped him, and if we find out, you're going to hell down, okay? I also want to touch on the fact that, okay, some of the things in here is kidnapping, right? Now, one of the things that was said when that Cassie video came out, is would he be charged with kidnapping, because she was trying to leave. She was trying to leave, and you literally dragged her back. Depending on the state, depending on how far you dragged her, all that other stuff, that could be seen as kidnapping underneath the law. I don't know if that's what they're going to be referring to under the kidnapping part, but that's what I think. The arson part, I don't know, but I'm going to assume the only thing that we know as the public that could possibly be tied to is the whole Kid Cudi situation. So just for reference for people who don't know what I'm talking about, in Cassie's lawsuit, she pretty much talked about how with her and Kid Cudi was kind of messing around for a little bit. And Diddy kind of found out that he threatened to blow up Kid Cudi's car, and then that actually happened. And I think reporters went to go double check that story and ask Kid Cudi, and Kid Cudi did confirm. He didn't say who did it, but he said my car absolutely did blow the hell up. Like, what type of movie are we living in? Anyway, let's keep going. Sean Combs, aka Puff Daddy, aka P Diddy, aka Diddy, aka PD, aka Love, the defendant, operated his business headquartered at various times in Manhattan and Los Angeles under a variety of United States-based corporate entities, including Black Boy Entertainment, Combs Enterprise, and Combs Global, collectively the Combs Business. Corporate entities in the Combs Business included, among other things, record labels, a recording studio, an apparel line, Sean John, an alcoholic spirits business, Ciroc a little bit, and DeLeon, a marketing agency, and a television network and media company. That's going to be Revolt. At all times relevant to this indictment, Sean Combs, I'm not going to keep going through all of the aliases, but Sean Combs, the defendant, engaged in a persistent and pervasive pattern of abuse towards women and other individuals. This abuse was at times verbal, emotional, physical, and sexual. As part of his pattern of abuse, Combs manipulated women to participate in highly orchestrated performances of sexual activity with male commercial sex workers. At times, Combs and others acting at his direction made arrangements for women and commercial sex workers to fly to Combs' location. Combs ensured participation from the women by, among other things, obtaining and distributing narcotics to them, controlling their careers, leveraging his financial support and threatening to cut off the same, and using intimidation and violence. So this whole pretty much section is just pretty much telling us what Cassie said. Now, I believe that a lot of this indictment really is going to be heavily based off of, the claims that Cassie made, but there's also other people I'm pretty sure that this happened with. Don Richard, which I was going to do a whole video on that. I'm probably going to do a separate video on that. Filed some charges, filed a case against him, maybe like the day before yesterday. And some of the things that she was claiming in there, now what she did claim was that there was plenty of times where he was naked in front of her, made her uncomfortable, talked about a time how he locked her and Kalina, okay, so the check cleared because they talked about how I heard how they talked about how he was reaching out to people at the end of last year trying to pretty much get stories cleared up. Okay, so your check cleared. It is what it is, whatever. But all I have to say, I'm pretty sure Cassie is not the only woman that he did with this. And I do want to talk really fast about the whole being bi, being gay thing. I do think that a lot of people are more so caught up on the commercial male sex workers than everything else. Like, that's the least of our concerns. He could do it with whoever he want to do it. Nobody cares. But when you are drugging people out, I know Cassie said that he was recording and then using those recordings against. That's when the problem comes, because I keep seeing a narrative of, so it's illegal to be a freak. No, but it is illegal to blackmail people. It's illegal to drug people. It's illegal to, what he's doing is sex trafficking, which is what they're coming at him for. You cannot be going across state lines and getting people across state lines. That's what the problem is. It's not the actual acts. If everybody is consenting adults, like, for example, I don't know the whole situation with Young Miami, but if I'm going off of her word, I'm going to assume everything that they did was consensual, which is why she's not coming out, maybe and saying anything wrong. Because I'm pretty sure she took parts in all of those freak-offs. She said on her own thing how she liked being peed on. But she said she liked it. If it's all consensual, nobody really cares. This is a side note too, because I thought about this. Do y'all think Carisha, Diddy, and Santana ever did anything together? That's just something I randomly thought about the other day. But anyway, let's keep going. Physical abuse by Sean Combs, the defendant, was recurrent and widely known. Now, see, that is kind of a fact. I want to say, like, also when it comes to R. Kelly and Diddy, that a lot of the things about them, they're like the most known secret, if that makes sense. Like, people always kind of knew what R. Kelly did, just nobody said nothing. People knew, even if you not in the music industry, just by looking at that man and the way he presents himself on TV and everything, and that's not that hard to believe. So anyway, on numerous occasions from at least in or about 2009 and continuing for years, Combs assaulted women by, among other things, striking, punching, dragging, throwing objects and kicking them. We saw all of those things happen to Cassie. Everything that he just said, striking, punching, dragging, throwing objects and kicking them. All of those things happened to Cassie. These assaults at times were witnessed by others and included one incident at a Los Angeles hotel in or about March 2016, which was captured on video and later publicly reported, where Combs kicked, dragged, and threw a vase at a woman as she was attempting to leave. Obviously, they're talking about the Cassie situation. When a member of the hotel security staff intervened, Combs attempted to bribe the staff member to ensure silence. Combs' violence was also not limited to these women. It extended to his employees, witnesses to his abuse, and others. I believe that. Sean Combs, the defendant, used the Combs business, including certain employees, to carry out, facilitate, and cover up his abuse in commercials. Those employees included security staff, household staff, personal assistants, and high-ranking supervisors, and other close associates acted as Combs' intermediaries, and conduct was facilitated and assisted by Combs' control of the Combs business. Now, that's where stuff gets a little sticky, right? Because, again, it was kind of a known secret. I want to also point out that in Dawn's lawsuit, she said that they were all at a dinner, like her, this is what she's in Diddy Dirty Money, Usher. It was like some notable people that she named. It was like 4 or 5 notable people that she named, and said that Diddy and Cassie got into it, and I think Diddy maybe like punched her, like either in her stomach or something, and everybody saw it. So my thing is, like, I feel like everybody knows how crazy Diddy is really behind the scenes. I'm pretty sure that people really know that. And this morning it came out that Kevin Liles was stepping down from 300 and leaving Warner Music Group, which has everybody like, what the Kevin Liles and Diddy, very close. Kevin Liles even came out and defended Diddy earlier this year. So it's like, it's quiet is the point. Like, similar to when the charges first came out, it's real quiet and a lot of weird stuff is happening, bruh. I don't know. Y'all tell me in the comments, do y'all think that he's gonna pull a Nino Brown and take everybody down with him? Y'all think so? Or do y'all think he's just gonna take it on the chin? But I'm very interested in less about him and everybody else that we don't know that's connected to this. I'm not saying Jay's name, but a lot of people are predicting Jay's downfall next. And that's been a thing for the last couple of years, that people have predicted that something with Jay is going to come out really soon. And the bad press that he's been getting like the last couple of weeks is like, I don't know what's happening, but I got a bad feeling over the next couple of years about Jay. I got a bad feeling, like in the pit of my stomach. It's not good. But let's keep going. The Combs Enterprise. From at least in or about 2008, on or about the date of the filing of this indictment, Sean Combs and others known and unknown were members and associates of a criminal organization, the Combs Enterprise, or the Enterprise. Member and associates of the Combs Enterprise engaged in attempting to engage in among other activities, sex trafficking, forced labor, interstate transportation for purposes of prostitution, coercion, and enticement to engage in prostitution, narcotic offenses, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice. Lord, that's a lot. The Combs Enterprise, including its leadership, its members, and its associates, constituted an enterprise as defined by Title 18, United States Code Section blah, 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 blah. That is a group of individuals associated, in fact, although not a legal entity. The Combs Enterprise consisted of all of his daggone. So what they're saying is the Combs enterprise consisted of Sean Combs, Puff Daddy, P Diddy, aka PD, and Love. So what they're saying is that what he could do legally is try to say, oh, it wasn't this person, it was that person, no, all of y'all. However you want to break it down, all of y'all. Okay? All of your different egos did it. The defendant entities within the Combs business included but not limited to the Bad Boys Entertainment, Combs Enterprises, blah, 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 individuals employed by the associated with Combs business. Let's keep going. So this is just really, again, talking about, who pretty much what am I trying to say? It's just saying that he pretty much owned the daggone company. Purposes of Combs Enterprise. Let's keep going here. The purposes of Combs Enterprise included the following: operating a global business in the media, entertainment, and lifestyle industries, including, among other things, record labels, a recording studio, and apparel line. Yeah, we did all of that. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, let's get here. B. Preserving, protecting, promoting, and enhancing the power, reputation, and brand of Sean Combs, the defendant as a musician, entrepreneur, and figure in the entertainment industry. C. Enriching members and associates of the enterprise, including its leader, Combs, and in particular, those who demonstrated loyalty to Combs and willingness to conceal his crimes. So this is how they're pretty much breaking down, again, his enterprise and how it's more than just him. It's a whole conglomerate, a whole situation, right? Preserving, protecting, and promoting and enhancing the power of Combs Enterprise, including the power of its leader, Combs, through violence, use of firearms, threats of violence, coercion, and verbal, emotional, and physical abuse. I also want to say that there was a story, this is an old story about how Cole and Diddy got into a fight, and I guess Cole punched the Diddy in the face or slapped him or some shit. So Punch from TDE was just on an R&B Money podcast, and he pretty much told the story. He didn't say names, but everybody could piece it together. And he told the story pretty much about how after Kendrick had dropped the Control verse, how they was out in New York at a party, whatever. It was a whole bunch of celebrities there. Now, Diddy had pretty much approached Kendrick and Punch because he felt some type of way about the record, and they was trying to explain it's really not that big of a daggone deal. I think Cole maybe had walked up and was trying to tell Diddy calm down, chill out, it's not that real. He just says they go over to a section and Diddy comes back over to it's Punch, Kendrick, and Cole, I guess. And I guess Jay at some point had the cat came over and tried to talk Diddy down too. But anyway, Diddy comes over to the section and Diddy pretty much says to Cole and if you ever talk to me like that again, it's going to be a problem. And I guess Cole was what you trying to say? What you going to do? What you trying to do? Because I guess Diddy had grabbed the bottle, and he was like, "What you gonna do? Bust me over my head with a bottle?" He was like, "No, I'm gonna bust this shit and I'm gonna crack it and I'm gonna slice your throat." And so at that point, it just started getting real wild. From there, he said Cole jumped up on Diddy. They fell on the table. Niggas start squabbling. Emery, who is, if you don't know, is Jay's mans or whatever, who was in jail, runs over, jumps into the fight, starts beating Cole's ass because he thought that Cole was Jay. So he picks him up. Emery, he's like, "Oh my gosh, my bad, Cole." So all of that to say is Diddy really thought that he was a mob. You really think you could walk around here just threatening people? And J. Cole's light-skinned ass knocked you the fuck out. Because get out of Kendrick's face, number one. And number two, who the fuck do you think you is? I don't know what these 90s niggas let you get away with. Jay over there trying to talk it down or whatever. But no. And a lot of people feel like that's messed up for Cole to be signed to Jay. And for Jay to pretty much still side with Diddy pretty much and still be cool with him, knowing that what he did was fucked up, says a lot about Jay. But we already went down the whole thing about Jay. We already know that. But let's keep on. Fulfilling the personal desires of Combs, particularly those related to Combs' sexual gratification, including through the exploitation of women and the use of commercial sex workers. Enabling Combs and the other members and associates of the Combs enterprise to engage in unlawful acts of violence, including sexual violence, sex trafficking, forced labor, interstate transportation for purposes of prostitution, coercion, and enticement to engage in prostitution, narcotics, distribution, other crimes, and concealing the commission of such acts. Securing absolute loyalty for members of the Combs enterprise, including through acts of violence and threats. Protecting the Combs enterprise and its members and associates, including Combs, from detection and prosecution by law enforcement authorities through acts of intimidation, manipulation, bribery, and threats of retaliation against individuals who witnessed the crimes committed by members and associates of the enterprise. Okay, back to what I said. Kalina, your check cleared. But I don't. Not only that, that gives credence because the DA was saying like how as of late of 2023. He was reaching out to people pretty much like trying to get them to like, bribing people, all that other stuff. And it also gives credence to when a couple of years ago, he decided to give everybody their masters back. And the whole entire world was like, why? Because you're Diddy, meaning you're selfish. Why would you ever, everybody knows that you take from your art. So why would you ever give it back just out of nowhere? And when Charlamagne asked him about it on the Breakfast Club, he tried to be like, oh, well, I'm just in this different era of love and 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 love. And it's like, yeah, okay, all right, okay. Something is going on. At that point, I think a lot of us was like, okay, something is coming down the pipeline. And Aubrey from Danity Kane, when she was asked about that, because Aubrey been on Diddy's neck from the time that she was in a group. I'm going to do a whole separate video on that. Don't worry about it. But when they asked her, I want to maybe say maybe like a couple of weeks after that was like announcement was kind of put out there about him giving everybody back their masters. And she said, yes, they reached out to me or whatever, but no, I didn't do it because they wanted me to sign an NDA. Why people got to sign an NDA to get their masters back? Exactly. Means and methods of the enterprise. Among the means and methods of which Sean Combs and the other members and associates of Combs Enterprise conducted and participated in the conduct of the affairs of the Combs Enterprise included the following. Okay. This is where we're going to get into it, okay? Because I'm seeing words. Combs and the other members and associates of the Combs Enterprise wielded the power and prestige of Combs' role at the Combs business to intimidate, threaten, and lure female victims into Combs' orbit, often under the pretense of a romantic relationship, because that's what happened with Cassie. He met Cassie when she was 19, okay? And Diddy is Diddy, of course. And it went from, I'm going to sign you to now you're in a relationship with me, okay? Combs then used force, threats of force, and coercion to cause victims to engage in extended sex with male commercial sex workers that Combs referred to, among other things, freak-offs, which we already know. And I also want to say the same thing with Dawn. I really believe that something happened there because of the way he specifically paid attention to her. But again, I'll get into that. I'm not in the video. Freak-offs were elaborate and produced performances that Combs arranged, directed, and masturbated during, and often electronically recorded, which they said in the press conference that when they raided his house, they have videos. They had videos. So Kevin Lyles, I'm pretty sure next thing we're going to look up, we're going to see you sitting next to Russell. A lot of y'all's going to be running scared because that was the biggest thing. We were all like, we wondered if they find any videos. Of course, because that's what those type of people do. They keep that shit. Because that's how daggone, that's how egotistic they are. I could just keep this here. Who gonna come and get it? Right? Okay. In arranging these freak-offs, Combs, with the assistance of members and associates of the Combs Enterprise, transported and caused to be transported commercial sex workers across state lines and internationally. That is a problem. I know people are like, "What? You cannot do that. That is illegal. If you're gonna do it, you got to do it." Like, for example, like in the state of Nevada, prostitution is legal. So if you go there and you keep it right there, cool. But if you live in PA and you hire somebody from Nevada and you fly them out there to under literally not, oh, we're cool, no, we like each other, literally under the guise of you're here to fuck me, that is illegal. And I know people don't know that, but it is. Can't do that, okay? Freak-offs occurred regularly, sometimes lasted multiple days, which to me is insane because I can't even do more than a couple hours. But anyway, sometimes lasted multiple days and often involved multiple commercial workers. During freak-offs, Combs distributed a variety of controlled substances to victims, in part to keep victims obedient and compliant, sometimes unbeknownst to the victims. Combs, and again, consent. Combs kept videos and he filmed of victims engaging in sex with commercial sex workers. After freak-offs, Combs and the victims typically received IV fluids to recover from the physical exertion, and drug use. Now, this is the thing, right? Because during a press conference, they also said, well, you guys said in the indictment that there were multiple victims. So how many victims are you talking about? And he said, we said multiple on purpose because we're not trying to give a number, but it is more than one, is all I can tell you. Meaning, again, I know Cassie wasn't the only person. He was probably doing the same stuff with just different women. Same things with Cassie, just with different women. That's why a lot of this is stuff we've already, heard. So members and associates of the Combs enterprise, including high-ranking supervisors, security staff, household staff, personal assistants, and Combs business employees, facilitated the freak-offs by, among the other things, booking hotel rooms for the freak-offs, stocking the hotels in advance with the required freak-off supplies, including controlled substances, baby oil, lubricant, extra linens, and lighting, cleaning the hotel rooms after the freak-offs to mitigate the room damage, arranging for travel for victims, commercial workers, and Combs to and from freak-offs, resupplying Combs with requested supplies, delivering large sums of cash to Combs to pay the commercial workers, and scheduling the delivery of IV fluids. In or about March 2024, which is what I was just saying, during the searches of Combs' residence in Miami, Florida, and Los Angeles, California, law enforcement seized various freak-off supplies, including narcotics and more than 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant. Again, like I said, and they also found the videos too. I know that's a big deal about, it's more than 1,000 bottles. I don't even care about that. I mean, that just shows he was really freaked out. That's it. Combs subjected victims to physical, emotional, and verbal abuse to cause the victims to engage in freak-offs. Combs maintained control over his victims through, among other things, physical violence, promises of career opportunities, granting and threatening to withhold financial support, and by other coercive means, including tracking their whereabouts, dictating the victims' appearance, monitoring their medical records, controlling their housing, and supplying them with controlled substances. Everything that Cassie said. During and separate from freak-offs, Combs, among other things, hit, kicked, threw object, and dragged victims at times by their hair. These assaults often resulted in injuries that took days or weeks to heal. Dawn also said in her lawsuit that she saw him beat Kim before. May she rest in peace. Combs also threatened victims' careers and livelihoods if they resisted to participating in freak-offs. Victims believed they could not refuse Combs' demands without risking their financial job or security, or without repercussions in form of physical or emotional abuse. Combs also used the sensitive, embarrassing, incriminating recordings that he made during freak-offs of collateral to ensure the continued obedience and silence of victims. And again, as I said earlier, that's the problem. It's not so much that you're a freak. You can be a freak all you want, but be a freak consensually. Why are you holding? Even if I said it was okay for you to record me, I didn't say it was okay for you to give it out, and now you're gonna hold that over my head. That's the illegal part. For the people that are slow in the back, it's not just being a freaky part. You can be freaky all day you want to. Nobody cares. Consensually then. Consensually. Good gracious. And the whole thing about whether or not him holding it over their head, we all know that Diddy, very powerful ass man. He can make a career, he can break it. I think Making the Band is a great example of that. If we use let's use Danity Kane for an example. Danity Kane literally came from Making the Band. So Making the Band, I believe season 1 was O-Town. O-Town was a big deal at that time. And then season 2, Diddy comes in and he starts to put together a girl group. The show itself is a fucking hit. The show is a hit. Season 1, like I said, when they do everything, then they kind of do, a part 2 when the girls is making the album and stuff. But Danity Kane, when they came out, they were really popular. That's why I know people be like, oh, Danny Kane, that's such a long time ago. But the fact that we're now 15 years later, almost 20 years later, and people still remember that group, that shows you how popular they were. Danny Kane really was a popular ass group. Damaged was a fucking hit. Damaged was a pop ass hit. And we saw how fast he let all of that shit go away because he didn't like Aubrey's attitude. He didn't like D Wood's attitude. He didn't like the fact that them two in particular, Aubrey and D Woods, did not fall in line the way that he wanted to. And he sequestered, and I knew I said I was going to do this on a different video, but I don't care, we're here now. And he sequestered Dawn off purposefully. Okay? Because people got to remember, Dawn is coming, she's from New Orleans. She's coming fresh off of Hurricane Katrina. She ain't got nothing. Why do you think he picked her out of everybody? You think he picked? Granted, Dawn to me is very, very, very talented. Very talented. But there's a reason outside of her just being talented why he chose to do that. And why he started to isolate her from her own group. And once that group was over, who continued to have somewhat of a career? She did with Diddy Dirty Money. The rest of the girls got nothing. Aubrey didn't, not even Aubrey. Andrea did nothing and she got pushed to the side. All of that to say, Danity Kane is an example of how Diddy can literally control your career so much to where he can have you with literally like the number 2 top 10 pop hit to being non-existent. That's a real thing. Whatever. People don't get it. Members and associates of the Combs enterprise, including Combs' security personnel at the times, carry firearms, which they also said that they found like 3 guns in his house. On more than one occasion, Combs himself carried or brandished firearms to intimidate and threaten others, including victims and witnesses to his abuse. In or about March 2024, during the searches of Combs' residence in Miami, Florida, and Los Angeles, law enforcement seized firearms and ammunition, including 3 AR-15s with the face serial numbers, as well as the drum magazine. And they showed pictures of those during the press conference too. Members and associates of the Combs enterprise enabled Combs' control over victims by following his directions regarding financial payments to victims, advancing or suppressing the victims' career opportunities, like I just talked about, and acquiring the controlled substances Combs used to keep the victims compliant. Members and associates of the Combs enterprise at times witnessed Combs' violence towards victims or the victims' injuries caused by Combs without intervening. Instead, members and associates of the Combs enterprise helped conceal the violence and abuse by, among other things, assisting Combs in monitoring and preventing victims from leaving locations such as hotels or Combs' residence. These occasions included instances in which a victim was required to remain in hiding, sometimes for several days at a time, to recover from injuries Combs inflicted without being publicly observed. Members and associates of Combs Enterprise who also assisted Combs in locating and contacting victims who attempted to flee his abuse. Again, talking about the fact that he did not do this alone. I think that's really important, and I hope they take every single last one of y'all down. I really do. When employees witness to his abuse or others threaten Combs' authority or reputation, Combs and members and associates of the enterprise engage in acts of violence, threats of financial and reputational harm, and verbal abuse. These acts of violence included kidnapping and arson. In addition, on multiple occasions, Combs threw both objects at people as well as hit, dragged, choked, and shoved others. Dawn also talked about how, I believe when they saw him, I think Dawn said in her lawsuit that her and Kalina had said something to Diddy about the way that he be beating on Cassie, and they pretty much told, and he said to them, like, y'all need to mind y'all fucking business, stay out of my fucking relationship, and pretty much threaten their careers, like, I'll have y'all be a whole bunch of nobodies. So again, pointing back to that. When Combs' authority of reputation was threatened by the possibility of negative publicity or legal or law enforcement action against him, including in or about late 2023, following public allegations of Combs' crimes, Combs and members of the associates of the enterprise pressured witnesses and victims, including through attempted bribery, to stay silent and not report what they've experienced. Of course, that's what he was doing. He was out there working. He was trying to get everybody shut up. On phone calls, Combs and other members and associates of the enterprise, among other things, provided these victims and witnesses with a false narrative of events in an effort to conceal crimes. Combs caused these calls to be recorded on at least 2 occasions. See, that's what I'm saying. That means that the feds is on your ass. That means that they have, because number one, there was somebody who just won like $100 million lawsuit, like settlement against him, but the guy's in prison. And the lawsuit was pretty much saying that like Diddy had came to him and pretty much like tried to bribe him off to be like, I want you to keep your mouth shut about certain things that you know. And the guy pretty much told him no, but Diddy didn't show up for the court case. I think his team is going to try to get it like, reversed or whatever. But the point of the matter is that shows, but bruh, that's how egotistical again that this man is. You thought that you could go to a jail where like everything is recorded, you gotta be on the log somehow, that like nobody was gonna be able to know that you went to go see this man. Why are you going to see this man in jail? Exactly. Um, Again, Kalina, I guess that check cleared. Whatever. From at least, sorry, the racketeer conspiracy. From at least in or about 2008 through on or about the date of the filing of this indictment and the Southern District of New York and elsewhere, Sean Combs and others, known and unknown, being persons employed by and associated with the Combs enterprise, described in paragraphs 6 through 12 of this indictment, and enterprise engaged in activities of which affected interstate and forest commerce, knowingly combined, conspired, confederated, and whoever put this together did a great job, like writing wise. Shout out to whoever put this together, and agreed together and with each other to violate the racketeering laws of the United States. Multiple acts involving kidnapping, chargeable under the following provisions of the state law. Multiple acts involving arson. I'm jumping around, y'all. Multiple acts involving bribery. Multiple acts indictable. Tampering with a witness. I was waiting for that because I'm like, if he did that, ain't that tampering? Yep, tampering of a witness, bribery of a witness. Conspiracy, relating to forced labor, relating to trafficking, to transportation and inducement to travel for purposes of prostitution. Good Lord, I guess these are all the charges. Multiple offenses involving the possession with intent to distribute or distribution of narcotics and controlled substances, including cocaine, daroxy, child ketamine. Those are the ones I understand. Distribution and possession with intent to distribute and conspiracy to do the same, aiding, abetting, and willfully causing. My goodness. Woo! It was part of the conspiracy that Sean Combs agreed that a conspirator would commit at least 2 acts of racketeering. Okay, my goodness. So then from here, yeah, that's just talking about the different sentencing factors, blah, 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 blah. Girl, that was just count 1. Count 2. Execution by force, fraud, or coercion. The grand jury further charges from in or about 2009 up to including in or about 2018, the Southern District of New York and elsewhere, the defendant in and affecting interstate and foreign commerce, knowingly recruited, enticed, harbored, transferred, provided, obtained, advertised, maintained, patronized, and solicited. Those are good fucking words. I love all of those words. Solicited by, I'm sorry, I'm like a word junkie. Solicited by any means a person knowing in reckless disregard of the fact that means of force, threats of force, fraud, and coercion as described in Title 18, United States, blah, 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 blah. And any combination of such means would be used to the person to engage in commercial acts and attempted, aided, and abetting and willfully caused the same to wit. Combs recruited, enticed, harbored, transported, and maintained a person, victim 1, and aided and attempted and abetted and willfully caused victim 1 to engage in commercial acts, knowing and in regardless disregard of the fact that victim 1 was engaging in commercial acts as a result of force, fraud, and coercion. So again, everything that I just said. And then count 3 is transportation to engage in prostitution. The defendant knowingly transported an individual in interstate and foreign commerce with intent that the individual engage in prostitution and attempted, aided, abetted, and willfully caused the same to wit. Combs transported, aided, and abetted, and willfully caused the transportation of female victims and commercial sex workers in interstate and foreign commerce on multiple occasions with the intent that they engage in prostitution. Ciao. All right. And the last thing we're going to get here, let's see, is forfeiture allegations. Okay. As a result of committing the offense alleged in count 1 of this indictment, the defendant shall forfeit to the United States any and all interest the defendant acquired or maintained in violation of Title 18. Any and all, this is interesting. Okay. Any and all interest in securities of, claims against, and property or contractual rights of any kind affording a source of influence over the enterprise name described herein, which in the defendant established, operated, controlled, conducted, participated in the conduct of violation Title 18, and in all property constituted and derived from proceeds obtained directly and indirectly said offense, included but not limited to a sum of money in the United States currency representing the amount of proceeds traceable to the commissions of said offense. Interesting. As a result of committing the offense alleged in count 2, any and all real property. Okay, yeah, so it's just saying the same thing. Substitute assets. Okay, and that's pretty much the end of it. So, pretty much said exactly what Cassie said. Put what Cassie said and Dawn said, put it together. They obviously have enough. They're going to throw the book at this nigga. I don't know, man. Part of me feel like he's not going to pull a Nino Brown and tell, because I feel like if he don't tell, if he don't tell on the people that he know, we got a better chance of staying out of jail. Because I don't know if he'll actually go to jail, right? But then I also feel like this is the feds. Like, this is the feds. And the feds really work like, you give us something, we give you something. So if Diddy could, to save his ass, just really start giving up names, bruh. I don't know. I think all this is going to be interesting. I'm glad that we're here. I think this case is going to be... Y'all thought the R. Kelly case was insane. Like, the R. Kelly case was bad, right? Like, it was really bad because those is kids. But I think this is going to be different because it's going to include a lot of high profile, like a lot of people, bruh. And again, it's real fucking quiet. It's quiet. Ain't nobody saying nothing. Ain't no comments on there, no nothing. Ain't no we in support of no more. We don't hear nothing. Because a lot of y'all probably knew the majority of this. And y'all just trying to figure out, am I going to be pulled into it? How will I be pulled into it? And y'all can't, that Kevin Wild stuff, that's related. And if we see him sitting next to Russell and Bali, we know what the fuck it is. But yeah, that's the indictment. Y'all get in the comments. Y'all tell me what y'all think. And I'll